If there is ever a time in your life when you want to focus on like rewards instead of risks, the risks right now are tremendous. If you focus on them, if you focus on the bad things that can happen to me, and and that defines what you do, I really think I can be destroyed. My like the June was horrible. The apartment was clean as it's ever been. I like started to change things constantly to make them better, cleaner, better. And I had a setup and a routine that made that took a long time. Finally that happened before the summer. And now apartment is completely fucked for now. I mean, dozens of hours of cleaning that I don't have in me right now. Dozens. Um, and although in this position exactly right here, I'm actually not really feeling much pain. Right, I'm twisted into my right ear is fucked up. Pretty badly. My jaw is fucked up. Stress has just killed all this. I've had injuries in all these areas: my ears, my jaw, my shoulders, my neck. My left shoulder is barely functional. Writing like yesterday or 2 days ago, so much, it was so bad, and I was already in so much pain. I've been living so inappropriately for so long, and it's not. I don't try to discount what you did. It's more than others do. But if you take away anything else, it, you can't take away anything else. Like you'll it, I'll be fucking crushed. Like just by the thought that you would like spend $100 a day and also cut into my bones. Like you're planning to be able to pay for me for my whole life, so you gotta like get it down to like $30 a day. So if I'm now is the time to focus on rewards. Anything, if you just have any faith in me at all, any faith at all. I have worked with word and video tools by myself. Very strange person, very strange life. Sort of too good to be true in a lot of people's eyes. Like what I say is often taken as lies, even though it's patently not. My lungs are black as fuck. Like, if you take anything else away, I don't know what the fuck. I don't even know. I can't even function now. I'm underwater every year. I'm underwater every year, and I know. Yes, does it keep me from spending? Is it minimize spending by keeping me underwater? Sure. I still can't function at the structural level that you provide. It's like 5-10% short if I do anything. Like if I live like a robot, like just surviving and eating, like waking up and saying, okay, the most expensive thing I have is a truck that I couldn't even Uber with, and it's not that different from a van. It's like you can't stand in this truck, and I mean it's the actual problems with the truck aren't even to do with me. Like the value is lower because of me, but the things that I did to the truck, none of them affect its existential like safety issues potentially. Like a broken bumper, a gouge in the door, like smoke. Those things don't cause safety issues. I've been working this whole time. I've been putting in tremendous, like, add it up, and it's a tremendous amount of time and a tremendous amount of energy. To try to argue that I haven't put in 50,000 hours working with my mind for the right reasons, it's crazy. And to say that I haven't created value because I don't have physical prototypes is crazy. I can describe things that you've never heard of that you think are damn good ideas and will probably sell. How many of those do you need to hear before you trust yourself and say, well, if I believe he's got 27 that he can sell at Walmart, if he's not retarded anymore, if I don't hold him back, if I say to my other sons, hey, Rob and I are going to start a business. He's worked in a non-traditional way for a quarter century and didn't work for money and didn't have a mentor, and we were all busy doing other things, but he has a legitimately batshit intellectual collection, a lot of absolutely practicable and manifestable shit in the relative short term. No chance to lose money in the long term unless we were idiots. We'd have to be fucking absolute idiots to even potentially lose anything long term. I'm a good problem solver. The problem is I feel like the one thing you can hear is that I've lived for 25 years nowhere's near anything like a workshop where, though I would be recording anyways, I would have something to do with my hands. There's been nothing to do with my hands. I am underwater without, I bought a few wrenches this year. I mean, I did buy an on sale iPad, but that was my camera. And if you look at in 20, I didn't even think about this, in 2022, when did that, let's say in 2010, you bought the bigger Sony camera. In today's dollars, it's like 10 grand. And the iPad I bought was $400. And actually, although I've applied calculations when I think, what did we do in 99? How much did we not invest? And when Mom died, how much did we not invest? I usually will think about it in terms of with inflation adjustment. When I talk about a magic number, it's just the 2020 value of the NSX and the 2020 value of what Mom left me averaged, and it's 92. We spent $92,000, and in both cases at the beginning, that there was not one second, not one moment when you thought, oh my God, with that much money, Rob can invest. He can get whatever reasonable shit he needs. The vehicle thing could be an existential issue for us. It's the same thing I asked vaguely when Mom died, was to be able to get rid of the vehicles I had which weren't workable, and to get one that was workable. I mean, maybe you would have let me sell whatever I was driving. I'd take that and then pay the rest myself to get a work vehicle. But in 99 I asked you, and you told me many later, you're the next day I wanted to talk to you about maybe getting a work truck. And you did say that. You're the next day. And I'd be well, I was fucked up severely, and your worst day, you might say, too bad. You definitely said that, maybe we're exaggerating and saying the next day, but you definitely said that after It's Not in the Stars, you or maybe you would say, I don't know if you say It's Not in the Stars. Maybe you said It's Not in the Cards. The next day you said you were willing to talk about it, but I was fucked up. So then I was fucked up, but then 10 years later, Mom dies. You tell me that, and you literally tell me Mom has left you or we have left you. I don't know how it worked. Like, mom left you within 1.5% of the same amount of money as the cost of the NSX. And the NSX, it's just, I'm saying that because that's what we actually bought, and there were tens of thousands left, no doubt. In both cases, at the end, there were tens of thousands, but after the NSX, the whole thing that led up to that, and it itself, and the whole route was unstable as fuck. Like, it was unsustainable and unstable as fuck. And when mom died, I asked for the same thing, and the way I recall, at first you said, well, we can't take this money and spend it. Like, mom intended for you to have, 10 grand a year for 7 years. Or whatever it might be. But it also obviously said you had discretion, and I had to fight until you finally realized that you absolutely had discretion. So there was nothing that mama said that said you couldn't, you couldn't take all that money and at least say, okay, let's figure out how to allocate this to create the best possible situation with the likeliest chance of success, least amount of unnecessary waste, a lot of efficiency and focus. At first you said, no, we can't do that at all. And then, even though you had said the first time, that 10 years before, you'd said that you were willing to talk about a work truck the next day, when I wanted to invest, and the first thing I would have wanted to do, remember, this is in 2009. So, trying to think, what was I like driving and where was I living? And obviously wasn't here. Obviously wasn't in Potomac. I was in some other fucking place. One of them was horrible. John's, Jordan. But, no, wait, when mom died, I found out, okay, I was in Auburn when you told me that mom was sick. I have video of you telling me that. So I was in Auburn then. But I want to do the same thing. Basically, that I wanted to do. Oh, so I got distracted there because I'm thinking, well, if I were living in a place like this, I probably wouldn't want a work truck. But I wasn't living in a place like this. This is the most work-friendly place. Easy to imagine doing things without a work vehicle. Also true that something could be done with a work vehicle, and larger things done using, the garage itself. A work vehicle wouldn't even fit in it. So we could do that shit, and then and that would make sense in the context of turning this apartment into a temporary, actual, headquarters for a small company. It's a small company that can operate out of a carriage house. You could have 8 architects working in that place easily if you it wouldn't be that difficult. They wouldn't have their own offices, of course, but probably 3 architects in each bedroom, and 2 in each bedroom, and then 2 in the living room, 2 in what would be the dining room. And you got the kitchen empty, the bathroom empty. And the garage open for, you can do a lot of shit in a garage space. If you have a solid ass rectangle. But I'm beat to fuck. Like I can't even. I need to stop abusing myself, and the only other way I could stop abusing myself, the only other way is to essentially somehow decide that both I'm worth much more myself than I believe I am. Um, I'm trying to fall asleep at the same time. But we could, if it would, I think it would make sense to replace the pilot with at least a high roof, maybe not the full length Sprinter, and say, you can't park this in the garage. You actually have to park it on the street. Parking on the street would mean certainly having a good alarm. If I if I don't if I don't start if I don't stop abusing myself soon, I will fall apart. At 50, no job. Like what would I have done? Like how? I mean, if I wasn't working, what was I doing? Like what was I doing for the last 25 years when I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, I wasn't showering, I wasn't well I haven't been most of the time I was not with a woman at all, wasn't jerking off. Like what was I doing? I mean, there were some months. I mean, every decade is 120 months, right? There were some months. Um, let's say 120, 120, 240, and then half. So 25 years, 300 months. Say maybe. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe in 300 months, it's possible like 10% of that time I was on some kind of a fucking break. I mean, it was never complete, but I probably will say, if you want to go absolute minimum, we'll say that I wasted 10% of my own volition. I mean, I think it had a lot to do with just being stressed the fuck out as fuck, because with not great equipment, with no business, with no mentor, with no one to work with, without like real like having or being used to having any like real tools, without any prepared workspace. I had to like go full speed all the time. So if I never stopped, I would have just exploded. So over the years, here and there, I play some game for. I mean, more than a couple weeks is pretty insane. I really probably wouldn't do it at all if there weren't things that were actually quite depressing. But we'll say that the minimum, I say the bare minimum, right, is 50,000 hours, and we're talking about 25 years. So like the bare minimum that I put in, we'll say, is a full 2,000 hours per year. We'll say, I mean, it's 365 days times, I don't know what, five. Wait, no. if wait 365 days. If you work a full year, it's 50 weeks at 40. So 2,000. I mean that also gives you 2 weeks off. So I mean it would be 2,080. And if you're working every day 365, I mean you could say it wouldn't be that hard to say that I work 10 hours a day. I was on 10 hours a day. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to say I was on 12 hours a day. My entire life is dominated by what I do because it's the only thing I can afford to do and the greatest thing that I can do in the absence of any kind of safety. Like, I live like a lunatic. I like I do almost nothing for myself. I play a little bit of sports, like not even sports, a little like I shoot around, like I get enough exercise to not be completely fucked. No women, no dinners, no vacations, no clothes, um, no respect. But you could say that I sleep for. Actually, you could say I sleep and sleep, eat, shower, and like actually watch some shit for 12 hours of the day. And the other 12 hours of the day, I'm utilizing my mind for the same exact purpose that I call work, and which is work, can be difficult to measure. But it wouldn't be that hard to get people to believe that I spend 12 hours a day operating my mind. Maybe not at the same exact rate as if you only counted the 8 best hours, but we'll say, I mean, 10 would be what, 3,650? Um, I guess I did 10, 3650, and then 11 would add 365 to 3650. So 11 would take you over 4,000. Let's say 10.9, whatever. Let's say 10. 10 hours a day. A little over, we'll say over 10 hours a day. We'll say 4,000 hours a year. Double what people on the clock generally work. Anyways, just say 10, 11 times what? 360. Okay, so it's at 10 you got 3650, 11 you got 3650 and 365. And 3650 and 350 obviously takes you to 4,000. You got 65 leftovers. You got 4,065. Wait, no, 15, 4,000. Wait, 4,015, right? 3650 and 350. It's only 15 more, so it's 4,015. So at 11 hours a day, which is more reasonable, let's say 8 hours sleeping. Wait, we got that's 13. 8 hours sleeping, and then 5 hours not on the clock, or not working, eating, shitting, showering, driving. But like most of the time when I'm driving, I'm connected to something. Usually it's working by talking. Now, I get something done, right? And there's so many ideas in my head without a way to relax. I I'm like scared shitless.